Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Monday, April the 22nd, and it is day 8 of our life cycle of a chicken unit. So we are into the second week of our chicks development. This is day 1, day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which was yesterday on Sunday, and the legs and wings began to form. We talked about the air sac that was there, and then today on Monday we have day 8 and the feathers begin to form. So when you're looking at the chicken side at this point, you can actually see the tiny little feathers coming on the body. So that is what is happening today. Today we have 2 vocabulary words, beak and shell. When we're talking about the beak, it is the hard pointed part of the chicken's mouth. It's used to pick up food. It's also how they drink water. We'll talk about that after the baby chicks are born. You actually have to kind of teach them how to dip their beak into the water, and then once you dip their beak into the water, they learn that, how to swallow water. We also learned that their neck, they cannot swallow with their neck at a 90-degree angle. So you dip their beak in the water, they lean their head all the way back up into a straight line like this, and that's how they swallow. Gulp, 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 gulp. But they cannot swallow with their head at a 90-degree angle. So they dip their beak in the water, they lean their head all the way back, and then they swallow. Gulp, 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 like that. So, and then on the tip of that beak right there, the tiny little tip right there, is where the egg tooth will form. It forms right before they are to hatch. It only stays on their beak about 48 hours after, because that's the only purpose that it's there for, is to break out of the shell. Once it's not needed anymore, it disappears. Isn't that neat? And then the second word that we have today is shell. And as you've seen, we have lots of different breeds of chickens at the farm in Pine Mountain, and so we have different color eggs. They all look the same on the inside. They all have these blood vessels, it's kind of like your belly button. You know how your belly button had a cord attached from it to your mom, and that's how you were fed on the inside. It's very similar in a chicken. They have a little cord that's attached to them and attached over here on the side of the egg. And they also have all of these blood vessels that are inside. There are also different layers of the shell. Could you see that? Let me go back just a second. I think I went over a page. I went over 2 pages, sorry. There's different see the outer layer of the shell that's hard, and then you have this inner layer right there. So there's different parts of the shell as well. And then remember that part that the chick is actually living in that's full of liquid, so that part is in there as well. And then the air sac is at the bottom. Isn't it so cool that this egg is so tiny, so fragile, and yet has everything that the chick needs to survive, to grow, to hatch, to live outside of the shell. So the shell is a hard outer covering of an egg. So today, since it's Monday, you guys will be writing 2 days in your chicken book. You'll be writing about what happened on day 7 on Sunday while you weren't here, and then you'll be writing about what's happening today on day 8, which is Monday, while you are here, okay? And we have 13 days left. Now the last thing I want to do before we get off today is we looked yesterday at all of these chicks and whether or not they had fertilized embryos inside. What I'm going to do is take off this lid, set it over here on the side, and I want to look at those last 2. Remember the 2 that we stacked up in the back, thinking that they may not have a fertilized embryo in those 2 right there? The rest of them, 22, we are sure have fertilized embryo. I want to look at these last 2 real quick and see if we can make a final decision on them, because we do need to get them out of the incubator if they do not have a growing embryo. This one is really easy to decide. Do you see that? See that yellow ball right there? It doesn't look anything like the other eggs that we've been looking at that are fertilized, right? The other eggs, they have this black area, and it has pretty much taken up the whole egg. You see that? It also does not have an air sac down here at the bottom. It does not have an embryo with a black dot. There's nothing to say that this egg has been fertilized or has an embryo inside. It just looks like a yellow yolk. And when you move the egg, the yellow yolk moves too. You see that? So now the yellow yolk is on the white end. Now the yellow yolk is on the pointy end, and it just is moving with us. So this one for sure is not fertilized. We're going to take it out of our incubator and get rid of it. And then this last one right here was one that I had questions about yesterday. So let's see if we see anything to determine. It looks different, doesn't it? Looks different than the one we just took out. So there is a black area in here. The black area is growing. See that dark area? See how it's coming all the way around on the other side of the egg? I'm looking for an air sac down here at the bottom. I believe it is there. Yep, there it is. See it? See that air sac down there at the fat end of the egg? And then all up here on the pointed end, we do have growth. We actually have a darker spot right here where the embryo is. Now the reason why, I'm going to turn the light back on for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. The reason why we've struggled so much with this egg is because it's dark brown. It's got spots all over it. You see that? It's a little bit harder to see through than some of these shells that are lighter in color. These that are light green, light tan, they're a lot easier than this really dark brown egg with spots all over it. It's harder to see through, but I think we definitely have growth in there. So that gives us 23. Did you know that out of all my years of hatching baby chicks, I have never gotten 23 out of 24 to be fertilized? Most of the time it's about half or a little more than half. So if I get 24, I might have 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. That's pushing it. We have 23 eggs that are actually fertilized. So if all of these continue to grow all the way up until day 21, we could have 23 baby chicks in our room. Isn't that amazing? All right, so today is day 8. We have 13 days left. How exciting!